Hello everybody, I'm Brian from Orchids by Brian. I'm here with my friend Amber from Taida Orchids. We're at Taida Orchids in Bridgewater, New Jersey today to do an exclusive backstage tour of this amazing nursery and all the awesome plants that they have. You're gonna see amazing Phalaenopsis, Asian Cymbidiums, and other exotic orchids that they grow here in New Jersey. So without further ado, I'm gonna transition it over to my friend Amber for an amazing tour.
Hi, welcome to Taida Orchids. Today I would like to show you about our Phalaenopsis orchids greenhouse. We also have other exotic orchids, and later I will explain how we use we adjust our greenhouse structures and other equipment to fit to grow Phalaenopsis orchids all year around in the Northeast. We are located in Bridgewater, New Jersey. So first, let me show you our showroom where everyone is welcome to come pick up our, come and choose and shop for their orchids Monday to Saturday. And here we have the fragrance section. A lot of people think that Phalaenopsis are not fragrant, but there is other Phalaenopsis that is fragrant. We work really hard to try to find and hybridize different variety of Phalaenopsis and then bring out the fragrance by crossing with some other fragrance species. And then at the moment we do have few options, and some of them are peloric, some of them have like unique colors, and we have the one that you just see is the peloric one with the red color. Some fragrant ones are a little bit stronger than others, but in general, all the Phalaenopsis that you see out in the grocery store, or most of them are not fragrant. The one with fragrant are usually the smaller type, because that's in the wild with the species. Those are the ones that are usually tinier that you can find in the actual natures. They usually use those kind of Phalaenopsis to hybridize and cross so that we can create some of the miniature Phalaenopsis with fragrance. And we can continue walk down with some mini sections. Right now we kind of have the stock where our previous batch all bloom out because of the heat in the summer. And then we have started to have some newer coming in. These are the ones that may not necessarily have fragrance, but we always try our best to create different colors, and they are all natural, hybridized. They are not dyed or colored, spray in any way. So there's different height, different pattern. As you can see, some are polka dots and some are striped. Some actually change. Every single plant is different. I like to show a little bit over here. I'm not sure if you can see the actual variety for these varieties are white with pink spot, but it actually come up to be some darker color and some pure white with red lip. And that's how they mutate. Even though we try to clone things, but sometimes they may go back to the original color. This is also another mutate. That's why it's really different from the white with the spot, but it's also very interesting. And we can come in further here. Here is more of our 4-inch selections. We do both retail and wholesale, so a lot of the people just come in and then grab, look around. Even if you don't want to purchase, you can just come. It's pretty cool here in the summertime. So we do have different varieties. We have the classic white, the classic purple, for people that are looking for example, some peloric or some big lip option. This is one of the big lip option that we have. You can see the petals here is actually trying to, well, the lip here is trying to mimic the petal. That's why you can see it's really different from the usual lips here. And people actually collect them. And there's a lot of people that try to create different colors in this kind of form. People try to create not just the different colors for Phalaenopsis, but they also like to create different shape. That's why in Pyloric, where the lip is the petal, it's mimicking the lip, and this in this case, this would be lip. It's mimicking the petal. So we are trying to go crazy to all create different kind of colors and forms. So you can see over here, these are actually for our wholesale clients. You can see all the ones that we are already tied up and sold. So that is major of our business, but we like to welcome more and more retail customers to come and then shop with us. And I would like to show more further down with our exotic orchid section. So we have some lady slipper here. These are Maldive type. The leaves are with patterns. So these are usually you can see them different time of the year. They are not as cool requirement compared to the complex type. And we also have other Oncidium intergeneric. Down there, it's our Twinkle Oncidium hybrid. The flower is really tiny, but it has the vanilla fragrance when they are in blooms.
Nice.
And more coming here.
And these are beautiful.
Yes.
The paths are gorgeous. Wow.
Yes, we're just hoping
Very
for them to
cool.
open before our clients start to request them. Yes, they do like lower light and then more water, because in nature they grow near the water bed where there's water going on all the time, but it's never sit in the water, because if you see from the inside of the pot, the roots are all hairy. That's to help it to absorb the water, but at the same time, if you sit them in the water, it will die because of so much pores and so much hair in their roots that it will be not able to breathe if there is too much water sitting in their pot. And we do have a section over here. These are our specialty Phalaenopsis or species Phalaenopsis. You can see some of the species one are very tiny flowers. So, and these are the things that people collect, and then we were happy to bring.
And which one is this?
This one is called Deliciosa. It's 4N.
That's great.
Oh, I think I hold the wrong tag.
That's okay.
But they do have one here.
Deliciosa.
Yes.
Oh, I love that one.
Yeah, and then some of the hybrid one, they are not species, but the form and then the color is very unique. So we carry either species or like special hybrid that it's hard to find out there in the market. And this one's another cute one. It's like a yellow with the brown pattern.
Yeah.
And all the patterns are different every single flowers.
And
This is a Mickey clownfish. Yeah, and some of these are fragrant. For example, this one that is about to bloom, it's called Asian Venus. It's fragrant. At the moment, it's not in bloom, but this is a Pyloric 2i form, where even for Pyloric, there's different shade that attract people. There are some that's like carpet, and there's one that's like with 2i, which I will show you a picture in a second. Over here, you can see there is 2i over here. That's what we call 2i.
great. Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always been impressed. I know I stopped in a few months back. You guys have a really fantastic selection of species, Phalaenopsis, and the hybrids as well. Definitely a beautiful selection of orchids in general, even for those who are looking for, like you said, the exotic orchids, Cattleyas, Cymbidiums.
Yes, we have some compact Cattleya Alliance. Some of these are fragrant at night, but they don't become bigger like those usual Cattleya. They're huge flower. These ones are thinner petals, but a lot of people don't have much room, so these would be their go-to if they want something in the Cattleya family.
That's great.
And we have these species that's in bloom, and I would like to show you
Nice.
the tag. Sorry, this flower,
No
I think
worries.
this is the tag. It's a species, they actually bloom throughout different time of the year.
Oh, nice.
So I would say it's very easy to take care plants.
Yeah, these are. I don't know if I've highlighted cochleanthes on my channel yet.
Okay.
So this is great to see it here.
Yeah,
If
before
folks
we
are
have a blue one.
interested. Oh.
But then the flower
great.
is smaller, and this time of the year we have the white one, and then the flower is bigger.
And these plants are so healthy. Look at this.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
If you're lucky, you find some 2 flowers per
Oh,
plant.
great. Yeah. And like Amber had mentioned, for folks, I know a lot of my viewers are from New Jersey, New York, the Northeast, down all the way to DC, and some folks in Florida too. But this is really fantastic to have growers like you on the Northeast, because these plants are acclimated to this environment, and so it makes it a little bit easier to transition, you know, from greenhouse to you know, the home.
Yes,
which is really
exactly.
fantastic.
And we have care instructions. So for people who is afraid, you know, we have our instruction. We're online, but we also have you know, if when you shop with us, we also have instruction for you. And here is our Asian Cymbidium selection. This year we have a lot of variegated leaf ones, and you can see right here, a lot of these actually just finished bloom. A lot of Invaluable, it's actually very easy to bloom. A lot of people shied away from compact Asian Cymbidium because they don't know when they will be blooms. So I would say to start, you can always try Invaluable, and they came with all different flower color and shape, and they are very fragrant. The kind of fragrant that it's light, it's gentle, but it's very different from like some stronger ones. It's very pleasant. And I like to show you some of the variegated leaf, and then later I will show you more of the flowers.
So nice. Wow,
So
these are gorgeous.
yes, and then we bring them in bare root because we're not allowed to bring them in. We have a farm in Taiwan that we work with, and they are all came in bare root, and then we will have to recover them. Actually, these we have recovered close to 3 months, so a lot of new growth has come, and then a lot of new roots already start to tip out.
Now, for folks who are newer to Cymbidium growing, what is the difference, or is there any difference for growing Asian Cymbidiums, the more compact growing Cymbidiums, to sort of the ones you typically see in the market that are large growing, not variegated leaves? Is there any care considerations for folks?
So I would say for these, they're encouraged to bring out in the summer, but if you don't, it's okay too. I would say for the winter type, they does get very big, so a lot of time you do have to divide them, and then they definitely bloom in the winter, so you need that transition. That's why people say it's good to bring them outside to outdoors, so that way they can have that natural cool down temperature end of the summer, beginning of September. But this one, it's compact, so for people who have, you know, smaller house, you don't necessarily have to repot them all the time because they do stay small. And for Invaluable, you have flowers, you can have flowers in different times of the year, depending on how mature your plant is, and that's very different from the winter type. In terms of water, I would say pretty similar because they all grow in bark. In our media we actually put bigger bark, perlite, and some charcoal. They like that, so it doesn't sit in the moss with too much of the water. But they like to stay compact, and then they like to be drained, but they do not like to dry out. So in this kind of greenhouse situation, we actually water them 2 or 3 times a week.
Great.
Yeah, so I would say difference is not too much, but one, it doesn't require too much of cool, I would say, compared to the winter type. Although there is some compact Asian Cymbidium that require much more cooler temperature for a longer period of time, then that would be even harder, I feel, compared to the regular big store-bought Cymbidiums.
Right.
And then some of the ones that are in flowers right now,
Oh,
I can
wow, I didn't
show.
even see these over here.
And we should let Brian.
Wow.
Yeah, this one is really cool.
That is gorgeous.
And then if you want,
Oh
you
my
can
gosh.
sniff it. They all have different fragrance.
Oh my gosh, they do have a great
Yeah.
fragrance.
And
It's
then-
almost like a perfume.
Yes, and then
Wow.
this one, it's actually a shuffly petal form. It's natural to have these for this
Wow.
variety. It has like multiple flower petals.
Yeah, that is so different. I don't think I've ever smelled an orchid that smells so.
Yeah, you see,
Yeah,
so
so much
small,
like
but
a
then the fragrance is very strong from a small flower like this.
Wow, yeah, that's great.
And this one's interesting. When they first grow, the leaf looks a little variegated and lighter color, and then as they grow further, it becomes darker. But still, you can see a little bit of the variegation.
Wow. Now, Cymbidiums are highlight. Is that right? Highlight orchids typically, or?
But these you definitely need shades even if you put outdoor. And
Oh,
then
okay.
for our greenhouse, we actually try to give them a little bit more shade. And key part about these plants is circulation.
Okay.
So we have fan going on in this greenhouse all the time. In the back, we even set up another additional fan so that they can have that circulations. So when you water these plants, also try to avoid in between the leaf, because sometimes if the circulation is not great, it may rot from inside. But yeah, this is
Wow, that's a
another
really beautiful
Invaluable.
That's great. So this is the type that you said could flower multiple times per
Yes,
year as it matures.
As long as they are mature, you can see them. And then sometimes if they're mature enough, they can spike you with not just one, with several spike.
Wow.
So this is another color, and these are all Invaluable.
Let me see. I'm gonna grab the
The
name
name
here.
tag. So these are Invaluable, and then the name for this Invaluable is actually called Love of Sun Moon Lake. Sun Moon Lake is a location in Taiwan, so I think people like to name them. I guess it's kind of like a shade of pink, a shade of green. Yeah. So and this one, the leaf also grow when they are younger. They are lighter color, and then as they grow more mature, it becomes darker. So it's interesting. Even without the flower, you can enjoy the foliage
Yeah.
throughout the whole year.
Yeah, I really like the variegated leaves. These are beautiful. And if anyone watching wants to pick up some of these Cymbidiums that you have here, you can visit Taida Orchids like Amber had mentioned, Monday through Saturday.
Yes.
9 to 4, you said?
9 to 4, Monday to Friday, Saturday,
Okay.
8 to 4.
8 to 4, okay, on
Yeah,
Saturday.
we have
Wonderful.
customers coming, sometimes they make a trip from Connecticut, from New York City, or even like Brian from all the way Maryland, right?
Maryland, yep, from
Yes.
DC.
Yeah,
Yep, from the
DC Maryland
DMV.
area.
Wonderful.
Yes.
And of course, Taida Orchids on the website. I'll include their website in the description of this video too. If there's anything you see on this video and you're interested in them, if there's something you're looking for, send an email, reach out on social
Yes,
media, or give them a
For
phone
sure.
call.
And then we don't do FedEx shipment often, but if the weather permit, if you really cannot travel to us, you can call us, send us some of the things that you're interested. We can find either the same exact plant or similar after discuss with you. Either when they are spiked, not in blooms or in bud. We prefer not to ship them when there are so many flowers open, because it does increase the damage, the risk of damage. But we do FedEx shipment, just not in a bigger quantity and scales. Yeah, so if you're interested and you could not make it, just feel free to give us a call, and then we will try to help you and then arrange some shipment to you directly.
Great.
And
awesome.
so right
That's
now,
beautiful.
I can start talking about how we bring these Phalaenopsis in.
That'd be
So we have farm in Taiwan, and then we actually grow them, start from like Mary clone, from like a baby micro mini, and then we transplant to 2.5. And then some of the bigger variety, like the classic white, purple, or bigger plants, we will repot them again to like a 4-inch pot size until they are mature. Then we can ship them with containers to the East Coast. Then we, this is when they were, this is the kind of condition we will ship them in through the container. They will not have any water or sun or light for about close to 60 days. Yeah, so, but this does have that cane genes similar to cactus. So all these leaves and then roots are very thick, and that's how they can go through that that no water, no light situation for that long. But of course, we need to prepare them. So when they were in Taiwan, we need to limit the water for the water humidity in the pot for very little, maybe less than 10%, so that they can get used to that water without that environment without any water. And then we also start to put shades, so to let them get used to the environment without any lighting. And then same thing when they arrived here, we go through inspection, and then we will slowly introduce lighting and slowly introduce water to them, so they can kind of wake up from that hibernation in the container. And it's amazing to me that they actually can go through that. But of course, it does take us, you know, more than 20 years of experiment and testing for us to have this amount of success rate. During COVID, the whole transportation and congestion is really crazy at that time. Because of all that craziness, we do have a higher damage rate, because you have a lot of congestion at the Taiwan port or at the US port. So that's how, even though we can control everything, but when the world is changing with other things going on, that's when we may not be able to have the same amount of success rate. But that's something we cannot control.
Right.
And when they arrive in the US, we recover them, and then you will start to see some spike. Let me find one that has just spiked. So you can see from here, these are the little spike that just spiked up after they have arrived. Usually it's about 1 month after they have arrived.
Wow, and look at the roots, beautiful roots. You
Yes.
can see the quality of the plants as soon as they arrive here at Taida.
Yeah, so for people who ask, oh, when do I water my Phalaenopsis? So it all depends if their media is like bark or moss. But in general, these are just water. So you can feel it's very heavy, and you can see most of the root are green. So it's an indication that they are being watered. They are still pretty moist and pretty wet. As these roots are getting drier, it will become like a silver gray color. And then you can feel the moss is probably close to dry, then you can water again. So there's different ways to know if your Phalaenopsis need to be watered. Actually, more people kill it by water it too much, because they love it too much and they wanted to take care of it every day, and that's when they tend to rot the root. So make sure you can feel the bottom of the moss to see if it's still wet, or to see the color of the root. Or you can also, usually for us, we water the bigger plants once every 1 to 2 weeks. So in the summer and the winter time is different. I cannot give you an exact time, because your environment may be more humid or more dry compared to our greenhouse. But that's why we all have to learn how they like your environment and how often they like in the different seasons.
Now, I know for some of the folks that I have on the channel, some folks pot their Phalaenopsis in bark. Some pot it in the sphagnum moss. I tend to have mine in sphagnum moss. Now, is there any benefits or, like, I guess, pro tips that you have on, you know, on potting moss versus bark? Or is it, again, you know, a lot of the time just the conditions, keeping in mind, you know, your watering frequency and care? You know, any considerations that people can keep in mind for that?
So I would say it's fairly similar. There's some research done that say sphagnum moss may help the Phalaenopsis to last. The flower can be long lasting, but I would say whichever that works best for your environment. People may say, oh, bark works for me, so when they get the sphagnum moss orchids from me, after several years they change to bark. And nowadays there's even tree ferns that's available. There's many orchids growers that love tree fern, but it all depends on which kind of orchids you have and if that work for them. So I would say for the biggest difference with the sphagnum moss and the bark, it's really how frequent the frequency, how often you water the plants. Okay. So bark, you just have to water often. And in terms of repotting, I would say they all hold about 2 to 3 years. But then it depends. Some of the bark may be better quality. You can last a little longer. So right. Is the sphagnum moss. So there's different type of media, but there's also different quality of the media, and that all make a difference. But right. I think the biggest difference is just the bark. You need to water more often.
Awesome, thank you. That's great.
Yes, and then
you can see all these beautiful plants that they have here that will soon be in spike and in bloom. Gosh, so gorgeous. Every plant is absolutely flawless.
Yeah, you see this one just started with spike, with longer spike. So imagine we have no spike, like blooming size, and then we have little spike, and then the spike just get longer and then started to bud. I would say about 3 to 4, 5 months, depending on the time of the season and also the variety. Certain variety may take a little longer. And now I would like to show you about our greenhouse, what kind of the technology we have to grow these Phalaenopsis. So you can see over here, we have 2 big exhaust fans. So these are the fans that will always have fresh air, old air going out, fresh air coming in. We pretty much have this on all year around as long as the temperature allows. So in the winter time, when it's really cold, we may not have 2 running, but the sun can be very big. So even in the winter time, you will feel very warm in this greenhouse. That's why we need these fans to kind of suck out the warm air and then have the cool air coming in. But we have to be very careful. Some of the air is too cold, so sometimes we leave a very small hole for the cold air to come in that will not disturb the rest of the flowers. So this is the exhaust fan. Our greenhouse, we use the air heaters. So some other greenhouse you will find they heat up the water pipe and then that will heat up the greenhouse. So for Phalaenopsis, people say that the one with the water heater pipe, it's better because it changed the temperature in the greenhouse very slightly and very gradually. But over here, our system, this is the old greenhouse that we have, so we try to work around with the available piping situation, and also they were already here. These heaters were already installed, and then that's why we just use them. But they work for us, at least with the control that we have. And we have all of these interior fan. Even though if the temperature is cold, the exhaust fan is not on, you will still see these interior fan on all the time, because this is just to create that micro environment for these orchids. They never at any moment feel like the temperature is too high or too low in a very sudden change. It's because we have these interior fan. And over here you can see we have these shades. These are shades that will have like about 70% lighting filter. In the summertime, we even put a black shade outside of the greenhouse on the roof. And in the closer to end of the fall, we will take out the outside and just the inside, because it can get too dark if you have 2 shades going on in the winter in the northeast. So this, we use it for the timer. So we have a system where because throughout different time of the season, different time of the year, summertime, you have a longer daytime, then we will have to put on a timer where it will have to cover in a longer period of time and then close and then open up when it's not as hot. But in the winter time, we pretty much open it as long as possible to have any sun to go through in our greenhouse. So you can see these are the system. I can probably turn it on and off for you to see. Let me, if you want, you can go a little closer and I'm gonna turn it off.
Now again, this is the second time that I've been here at Taida Orchids, and they also go to many shows here in the Northeast. So if you do live in the Northeast, definitely check them out when they do their shows. They offer so many beautiful orchids. Yeah, check out this system opening the shade tent. That is so great. Look at that. How cool, huh?
So yes, they do go through this kind of rack, and then the motor will trigger when I turn it on and off, and then it will start closing and cover the greenhouse.
Wow.
For the whole greenhouse.
And yeah, you can see every shade cloth opening up to make sure they're getting the best amount of light, not getting burnt by the bright northeastern sun. Wow. Absolutely awesome.
So on one end of the greenhouse, we have the exhaust fan. So naturally, the other end of the greenhouse, we would have cooling pads. That's where if you have water going through the pads, it will suck the air by, the exhaust fan will suck the air from outside going through the water pads. Then it will evaporate the water into the air and hence take out the heat from the air. So this works the best if your environment is not humid, because that means there is a lot of opportunity for this water to evaporate to the air. If the relative humidity is too high, then it's hard. So for the Northeast, it's not as easy compared to the West Coast. In the West Coast, California, you know, the desert-like temperature and humidity is really helpful to have these water cooling pads. But in the Northeast, it may not be as easy, but it still works. You know, you still feel very cool in this greenhouse compared to outside, especially when it's 90 with 100 outside.
Right.
Yeah, and naturally, it's supposed to be this end of the wall for the greenhouse for these cooling pads to, because this make the air the most easy from one end to the other end for the exhaust fan. However, it is a greenhouse that it's not meant for orchids, so we kind of work around by putting two on the side in the beginning end of the greenhouse. So our cooling pads are controlled by timers. So it won't work at night, because at night usually the humidity is too high. It doesn't work. So usually we just turn it on when the sun starts to come up, and then we have a timer where we will time how long does it take for these water cool pads to run through the water from the top, and then how long it takes to dry. And then we will give it a little pause to let it dry, then we turn it on again. Because if you have it on like 24/7, you don't actually benefit from it. First, you lose more water. Second, it's already too humid in the air, so you need some time for it to pause to let those water evaporate. Then you have the new set of water. So that's what we do here, and I like to show you further in our other greenhouse.
Great.
So over here is those area where employees only, but I think this is great opportunity for me to show you, inside working in progress on what we do here. So you can see the same setting. We have the cooling pads here. We have interior fan, and we have 2 exhaust fan in this greenhouse. This greenhouse, unfortunately, we cannot have 2 cooling pads because the other side of the greenhouse is connected to other greenhouse, so they share the same wall. So this greenhouse does get a little bit hotter than other greenhouse. So we try, having like other greenhouse cool air that kind of connect with each other in order to cool this greenhouse. And there's more colors, Phalaenopsis here. Over there we have our water system in the back. So orchids are ideally should be used rainwater or purified water, because if it's softened water, usually it contains salt or sodium inside, which is not ideal. I mean, when it's small amount of softened water, it's not a big deal. But when you're trying to grow things commercially, you're trying to make sure they are taking the correct and right nutrition for you, it's better you work with purified water, and then you can start adding like some nitrogen or different type of the fertilizer, so you know exactly the ratio and then the amount that you put in. So we have a RO purifying system here, and then yeah, that's pretty much it for the control. We have different like thermometers and then sensors that we put throughout the greenhouse, so we know the temperature between the beginning of the greenhouse, the middle, and then the end of the greenhouse. Actually, it will, for people who actually grow orchids at home, if Wi-Fi is available and sometimes you travel, it's always good to get like a Wi-Fi connected thermometers, because it tells you even when you're not home, and it gives you alarm. Let's say if it went above like 85, then you will get notified. So I always recommend people to get that because it's very helpful.
I absolutely agree. I have one on my grow tent where the plants that I grow, and it is helpful because I travel a lot for work, and of course traveling around to visit awesome nurseries like this. And it's good to monitor because make sure it's not getting too warm, especially with the plants that I keep that are definitely on like a cooler growing side of the spectrum, like my pleurothalids and Masdevallias. So I 100% agree. That's great advice.
Very, very helpful.
Very
Sometimes
helpful.
when and then you don't have to worry, even though you said everything correctly, but you just have that peace of mind knowing that they were fine.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
So let's go to other greenhouse. I can show you a little bit. You have a better, easier to access to our control panel. Everything is in Chinese because we actually bring these control system from our Taiwan, because that's what we are familiar with. But out there's a lot of American or Canadian company that also build something similar. So these are like for the shade. This is for the water. We actually have shades outside of these cooling pads. So when it's in the winter, we can close the shade so the cold air doesn't come in. We also have the water cooling pads pump for the water, and these are the exhaust fan. So we have the system where we can set when the temperature, these are all in Celsius, so don't get nervous. They're not that cold.
Not that cool.
Yeah. So we set a temperature when the exhaust fan will trip and then turn on. And then the rest of the system are either timed, which we custom. We have this control by 10 minutes. Every 10 minutes we can switch. So it can also have that time features, so we don't have to. And it's good things that it's not by hour, because sometimes you do need that 5 minutes, 10 minutes control. So it's good that we have that. In greenhouse industry, I would say this is still on the older system. In real greenhouse right now, there's a lot of different things you can control. People may have like lighting. So for the shade, we use by timers. But sometimes, you know, you have a summer day, but it's a cloudy day. Then you can turn on. You can open up the shades. Unfortunately, our greenhouse doesn't have that. But I do know people have the lighting sensor where they can sense, oh, what's the temperature outside, what's the lighting outside, and then they will decide to open the shades so that they can still have that sun coming in, enough sun coming in. And there's also other greenhouse, they may have, the fan may be controlled not just by temperature, but also humidity. So maybe the temperature is high, they want to turn on. But if they want to keep, for example, they want to keep a humidity in a certain point, they may not necessarily turn on the fan right away. So there's all different factors that you can program in. It's definitely available out there. And it's very amazing how they can control so many things in very small fraction of difference.
Right.
So this is our white.
Well, Amber, I was just gonna say, it looks like you have a couple of white Phalaenopsis.
Yes,
in
yes,
here.
yeah.
Wow, look at this, it's a sea of white Phalaenopsis. Of course, look at these beautiful.
Yeah, so this is actually a table where it's going out for our wholesale clients. We have them date and timed. It's not a lot because people are getting ready for their Labor Day vacation, the last vacation before the summer.
Right.
So usually it's a little slow in the summertime. They are more conservative because not everyone is at home taking care of orchids. So, but we do have, you know, some people looking for more open one for parties or for events. So September is also a big wedding season for us because it finally cooled down. So we do have white orchids. White orchids is probably, I would say, more than half of our sales because that's just the classic. It's big flower and it works for any occasion. So wedding, office, hotel, event. So a lot of people do enjoy white colors, but we have everything. We have the ones that's for the general public. We also have things that are more unique for collectors. So this room, it's bigger room. It's like a hoop house that are connected with gutters, and we have 4 exhaust fan here, and then we have, these rooms are all white for growing Phalaenopsis. So a lot of these are ready to come. You can see the bud are pretty small. This will take about at least 1 month to blooms. And then certain ones can take maybe 3 weeks. And
wow.
It's
Yeah,
very
this is
cool
so
to
impressive. Oh my gosh.
Whole row of
Hopefully this captures well on the video just the line of buds.
Yes, that's right.
That is so cool. You can see it well here. Amazing the amount of beautiful Phalaenopsis here. Oh my gosh. That is so cool. You have to love these big classic white Phalaenopsis. How can you not? Oh my gosh.
More white.
Nice.
So these you can see different stage. We have a long spike here, and then we have some that are just baby, just started. So throughout different time of the season, you will see some of the Phalaenopsis they spike single stem, some of the Phalaenopsis they spike double stems. So people may ask, what controls? So one of it is genetic. So if this variety we already select the more double stem variety, then yes, it will be easy to spike double. But there's also temperature. If in the summer, usually around here would be like May to April to I would say May to August. That's when the temperature gap is not big. So you will have a temperature at night and a temperature in the day. The temperature gap is not big enough for them to encourage them to spike. And sometimes we may have plants that been here sitting for 2 months and not spiking because the temperature gap is not big enough. So when you're at home, if you're trying to spike your plants at home at least for Phalaenopsis, if they have not been spiking, maybe you change your location where it can have that cooling down, maybe next to a window. In September, you have that temperature gap, then it will naturally spike. So for us, during the time maybe from May to August, that's the time when it may not always spike on time, and it may not spike to spike because the temperature gap is not big enough. And that's when we will have only more single stem than double stem. We hope, you know, in general, people do prefer the double stem because, you know, you're getting two stem out of one plant, but sometimes there are things that we cannot control by the nature.
Right.
Yeah, so this greenhouse, also another greenhouse with the good setup. We have the fan and we have the cooling pads here. The one thing that this greenhouse could be better is the ceiling. In order for us to have the shade, because we convert this to a Phalaenopsis greenhouse, so we didn't have that higher shade. When the shade is so low, a lot of heat are like trapped in the upper part of the greenhouse, and it gets really hot. So ideally, you want something a little bit taller so that the temperature in this environment doesn't have a big change from a very hot to cool. You want to have bigger space so they have a smaller change in terms of the temperature. And then we have the last greenhouse. We have 6 greenhouse here.
Wow.
That last greenhouse is our purple greenhouse.
Oh
So this is the greenhouse where we grow only purple.
Wow.
And then you will see we also have different stage throughout different in the whole greenhouse. Usually it's about 5 container in one greenhouse setting. So you will see like 5 different stage. So we have those that unfortunately summer was too hot, so a lot of them bloom out. But you can see some of them just came in. These one are blooming size, they have not spiked yet. And then we have some that are spike, long spike over there.
Wow. That is
And
amazing.
yes, and in this greenhouse we have 2 fans, and then we have cooling pads in the back.
Wow.
It does get a little warm in the back of the greenhouse, so we sometimes have to find other way to cool down. For example, we can like spray water on these concrete walkway to kind of evaporate that water to the air, so that way it can take a little bit of heat away. But in general, I think the summer is very challenging for us.
Wow. This is amazing.
Yes. So besides wholesale or plant business, we also do cut flower. For this time of year, a lot of people who want to get married, they don't necessarily want to go with like a expensive florist. Then they can come buy cut flower from us. We have very reasonable price, and a lot of people do centerpiece by DIY. Put a little vase, put the orchids cut flower inside, put like some water and lighting. It looks perfect. So yeah, if you are interested in buying cut flower, we also sell them at very discounted price to
Amazing.
the general public.
Well, Amber, thank you so much
No
for
problem.
showing us all that Taida has to offer. This tour was amazing.
Thank you.
I love Taida. Like I said, this is my second time visiting. We've seen each other at shows. That's one thing I want to re-encourage my viewers. I know folks have seen the videos of Sipos. I know I saw you guys at Deep Cut, and I'm sure many other shows here in the Northeast. You can find that information on social media on the website.
Yep.
But absolutely amazing grower. If you're here in New England, the Northeast, you know, really all across the U.S. Gorgeous Phalaenopsis orchids and exotic orchids, Asian Cymbidium. So I really appreciate this exclusive tour of the nursery.
Yes.
And I am so excited to now go and shop for some new additions, I think, for my collection too. So, all right, everybody, that's going to conclude this tour of Taida Orchids. Thank you, Amber, so much for this great tour.
Thank you for
But before we end, I want to ask one question. Where can folks learn more about Taida, get information, find out about shows, and most importantly, buy plants from you guys.
So the best way to reach out to us is to call us. Our office number is 908-595-0055, or email us at taidaorchidsusa@gmail.com. You can also visit our website, taidaorchids.com. That's TAIDA Orchids with S.com. And then we also go to show from January to May, early June. So you can follow our social media, Instagram or Facebook. Our handle is Taida Orchids Inc. And then you will find more information about all the shows that we go to, and any new stuff that came in. You can always learn more about our updates there.
Awesome. Well, I gotta go shop. That's gonna conclude this amazing tour. Thank you again, Amber and Taida Orchids. Thanks everyone for watching. I'm Brian, and this is Amber. We're from Orchids by Brian, and we will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.